the sound.
Okay. And we're live, folks.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to International Artist Alliance. We're coming to you from one continent today, in a couple of different locations. I think we're in 2 time zones today. Unusually, this is a very unusual situation. My name is Ross Berman. I'm in Los Angeles, an artist working right in the heart of the city of Pico Robertson, and we have Stephanie McLean in Toronto, Canada, and we have Denise Bussman-Pilcher today calling in from San Jose, California, so also on the west coast of North America, and also Rose Williams, who, as usual, is coming to us from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, also on the west coast. So you see 3 of us in the same time zone. This is so unusual.
I know. I'm the odd woman out. The odd person out.
What do you call it there? Central time?
Eastern Standard.
Eastern Standard Time. Yes.
Yeah, or just Eastern Time. Yeah.
Eastern Time, right. So we have quite a few things to look at today, to discuss today, and to kind of like feel out. I think it's a real feeling out, because today we're talking about challenges and inspiration. And both of those really are related to how we feel about it, how we get to it, what happens when we get there, if we get there. I know that many of us work in materials that are really difficult to, like oil paint, you can just scrape it off and repaint something. But if you're working in acrylic, scraping it off and repainting it has a couple of other conditions, or you have to do things to it in order to even get to that point. If you work in pencil or transparent medias, you can't really scrape anything off except kind of scrape the paper. Maybe you ruin the surface. It's pretty much starting over again. And Denise, I know with your work is super, like, it's a technical process. It requires a level of expertise, and I have no idea how you would possibly make any changes if you were to.
Well, you just paint over it, basically.
Paint over it. Are you painting with oil on your substrates first?
No, it's all acrylics.
Acrylics.
I'm all acrylic.
All acrylic.
So no scraping.
The only thing you
just
can do
more layers.
More layers.
Yep.
And then you put paper on also, washi paper, and it's not a collage. I don't know. Yeah. It's more like a montage kind of technique, I guess, that you do.
Yeah, it's image transfer. So it's gel skin transfer. So my panels, by adding more and more layers, get really, really heavy.
Oh, like actually weight.
Yes, the actual weight. Yeah, I actually I'm reworking, or actually no, I should say I'm painting over 6 pieces right now, and I rarely do this. I rarely say this is we're stopping this and we're doing something completely new. And I'm doing that with 6 panels at the moment, and I was surprised by how hefty they are getting. The more layers I'm adding to them, so.
Oh,
wow. They're going to require a little bit more of a stronger wire on the back, I'm sure.
And Denise, so I guess that will just give it each of those 6 panels, it'll give the new 6 pieces all that much more texture, that juicy texture, which we all love.
Yes. Yeah.
And depth of layering.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Are you keeping anything of the previous layers to inform what you're doing? No, you're painting over it entirely.
Not in these. In this case, no.
Wow.
No.
You're not doing a palimpsest version of all 6?
No. In this case, I was so sick of these 6 pieces that I really needed to not be here anymore. But again, this rarely happens.
Stephanie, yeah. You really brought up the perfect point here, palimpsest. Did I not mention that we're working on the Palimpsest project, where we're sending live art to each other through the mail across the world, that then each of us consecutively works on. So Rose does something and she sends it to Stephanie, who does something, sends it to Denise, who does something, sends it to me, and then I do something and send it to Australia to see Cheryl, and Laura in the UK. Those are really all of our members. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention all that before. I was so interested in the subject today, I just leapt right to it. And I got to go right back to it, because Rose, you do something also really, completely different. And your materials are like chemical reactions and pressure and I mean, you use paint also. I think I saw you nodding your head with acrylic. You use acrylic paints too. So what do you do if you go like, this isn't what I was looking for, it's not working the way I want it to work? You have to paint over it? How do you handle that?
Well, I'm blessed by having had my little studio for quite some time, and I don't have to live in my studio. So I have a system where I put it up on the storage loft and come back to it later. And often, to be honest with you, sometimes when I go back to it later, it's okay. It didn't really need anything more. It was just the mind space I was in at the time wasn't satisfied. Or I'll do like Denise, and I'll say, okay, this whole like little group here had some thread, but they're not tying together well enough. So I'll try to make them do that. They'll tell me what they need. And then recently I had the opposite experience where I went up to the loft and I pulled out some work that I hadn't had out for a while for a one-day show. And I ended up really being much more moved and happy with them than I had been when I put them up. So that was like the opposite kind of thing where you're like, oh, why did I banish you?
To the loft. To the loft with you.
To the loft for years. And of course, for me, that particular series of events was related to having a consultation with a big name art consultant who told me my work was shit. And I did put it up on the loft, and I redirected, and I'm reassessing that because I showed that work that the expert had a very negative reaction to, and I showed it at the BC Housing Conference for one day. And I was shocked at the response from the viewers. People were really moved by my work and stopped to tell me that they were like, oh my gosh, look at that. It's really moving. Oh my gosh. Oh, I really get it. Oh, I can feel that. And I thought, I wonder what was going on in the head of that art consultant that day, because the work is actually stands on its own. So sometimes putting the work away for a while and then bringing it back out, it's like, it's a constant process of creativity that's going on in the background that we're not even like aware of. And that has a huge influence on our work.
Right.
It's true.
Right. Stephanie, that sort of sounds what you do, right? Like the stars align in certain kinds of ways, and they create these constellations, this background for all of what's informing what you're doing, and you're also putting in, like elements of fire and water, and there's a certain kind of a movement that's happening with your work. But you're working in acrylics and you're working in portraits, and what do you end up painting things over when it's not working? How do you get there?
Yeah, I do paint things over, and coincidentally, oddly enough, see that the woman here, the fiery woman right here. Sorry. So I created a painting that was going to be the earth painting. So I did this collage, like this big pink collage, and I thought it was really pretty. This woman is kind of has her head in the flower, and she's looking up, and she was pregnant. And then at the other sort of in the other corner of the painting was another collage of another zinnia that was, the big pink one was a zinnia and the small pink one was a zinnia. And I was just like, it's not working for me, right? I must have changed her skin tone about like 4 times. So when I finally landed on something that I kind of liked. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do with this? So what I did was I had a 40-inch wide painting like this one back here by 16 high. I brought it to my supplier. I'm like, Roberto, can you make 2 paintings out of this one, like with the smaller collage, and this one with the bigger collage? So it's there now. So he's making a 12 by 12 out of the smaller one and a 16 by 22, I think, out of the bigger one. So I'm like, I like the collage part. I like that part. I just didn't like the pregnant. It just wasn't working with me. It looked there was something too cliche or something about it. It just wasn't working. So that's what I did.
Wow. So in a way, that kind of speaks to the graphic designery part of you, where you're able to cut something in a certain way and print it. If you print it, it comes out different. So it becomes a really different work. If if you're aimed for the print, that really becomes your final piece. It's not the illustration or the painting that you're doing. It's a different kind of way to look at it.
Cropped it.
You cropped it.
I cropped it. Yeah, I cropped
That's the word.
And what about you, Ross?
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple of different modalities in media that I work in. So when I'm working in a digital media, of course, that's usually pretty easy to make some kind of a change, except for the fact that I don't use Photoshop, like this big one right here. It's done in Illustrator, and it's probably like 300 kinds of layers. And at some point in every single one, I get completely confused. You guys know me. You know that would be bound to happen. I just not really know. Yeah, Rose knows. And I'll forget where something is, and I just can't keep them straight anymore. And so it really is like a painting at that point. Then I have to take whatever it is that's there and just keep working it and go until I get the result that I want, even if there's a huge cutout in one part of it that's leading to this other thing. It's like at some point there's zero logic to whatever I'm doing. Now, to take that into the other parts of my work, so I work also in tempera, like kind of poster paint kind of stuff. And there's no way to do anything else except paint over it, kinda. You can't really get much over it. It's semi-translucent or semi-opaque, and but then also I will draw into it, and I'll use watercolor crayons and inks and stuff like that on it. But like other wet media are going to lift off the paint, so there's only so much that I can do before the entire integrity of the surface is.
So was this how you approached that small black painting that you started for our test project?
Well, the black painting, so no, I started with something I'd never done before. I started with black gesso, and I thought, because I saw somebody else working with black gesso and how they were able to, make it not look like it was painted on velvet, but bring up something out of it, like carving out of it. Well, I wasn't able to do that, and I was working with materials that didn't really adhere to the black gesso. And so this is one of the challenges that we as artists have. Like, I'm going to try new materials, how these new materials work. And artists tend to be super, super generous, right? So Rose said, hey, did you know that there's this other stuff? And I had no idea. And she told me what it was. But we are kind of like chefs, and we don't want to give away our secrets to everybody. So, maybe you can write to us. What's our email address? We won't give out our secrets that way.
Actually, our email address is internationalartalliance@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we do have an email address.
Write to us at any time. Ask us cool questions, and we'll answer you. Fan mail even. Yay.
Yeah.
So my that was kind of like how so now that we're working on these larger pieces. Now these larger pieces, they introduce an entirely other set of challenges, because the size, and I think at some level, when we're working on something small and we're going to send it to each other, I think at some level it's like kind of a like we can see the whole thing right there, and we have a sense of like, well, I don't want to fill it up so much that the next person won't be able to do something. But when working on something large, to like make a big mark on it, or it's kind of like, am I done with this? Is this the completed statement that I'm going to make for my part? And then does it leave enough room, or is this like I've already gone through 2 iterations of my work. It's like it's too. I've made my statement too clearly. Like it's like I don't want anybody to touch it. And okay, well, so I see you all nodding.
Well, I think we learned a lot for when Lara was sharing that the portrait of her daughter for the test piece was so personal and subjective to her as subject matter. And then the way she rendered it had meaning to her, that it was difficult and almost painful to watch it change. So we all learned from that, because then we were all like, oh yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to insert something that's so personal and subjective that I don't feel good having it shift, then
Right.
maybe that's not what I'm going to bring to the next panel, right?
Yeah.
Especially since the larger panels, the initial, like each of our inputs are going to be much larger. You're going to have more space to fill and more of a stronger influence on how the paint panel is going to change. And I also think
Yes.
that by working larger, that the pieces are going to change and evolve more drastically
I
throughout
think
their
so too.
journeys.
I
I
think
think
so
so
too.
too. I personally was I had a hard time with my panel, so I tried it on paper first, right? Because I used, I'll let the cat out of the bag. I used spray paint, but for the first time, no, I've used it before. I actually used it on that lady there, but it was the first time that it was uniquely and only spray paint. So I tried my sort of design on on paper first. I'm like, yeah, okay, but it's like it's dispersing too much. Oh, maybe it's just the paper, right? I should try it on some wood. Didn't have any wood. I was like, you know what? Just gonna go for it. So I went for it. And I'm not 100% happy with it, but I told myself it's the bottom layer, right? Even though I know we're looking for each layer to stand on its own, but I thought, well, this is the bottom layer and it's going to be sort of built upon or built on. And, maybe someone will cover up what I personally don't like about it. That's my confession.
Are you going to mark it up with the parts you don't like? So it's like
It's in the box. It's in the box. It's in the box with your address on it right now. I'm looking at it, so I'm not opening the box.
You're going to tell me
With
what?
with no arrows to make it clear.
Yep.
Nope.
Red grease pencil.
No arrows allowed.
No, you might feel the same way as I do, and it's fine. Like it's okay, right? It's just like sometimes you just have to get it done, right, and ship it out. It's taken me long enough to get it done, and anyway, I finally posted the video today of the packaging of this.
Speaking of packaging,
Yeah.
what did you pack it in?
Masterpack's Titan Strongbox. Masterpack USA. Their Titan Strongbox.
Titan Strongbox. Boy, that's a really good box.
Our generous sponsors for
Yes.
our project.
I've actually had a couple of people spot my box because I'm working right beside the kitchen lately. And me, trying to make it fit and all that stuff. And people have been walking over and going, oh, what's that? That's really cool. I mean, even people who aren't in can recognize, oh, that's like a nice shipping box you got there.
It is. It is
like
really
it's
nice.
Work.
Yeah. It's really sturdy. Like it just feels really sturdy.
Yeah.
And I got creative with the tape like Denise did.
The way they design the perforations where you can customize how well it fits. To me, that's really crucial because then there's no shifting and you feel confident that it's not going to be sliding around inside the box at all. And that's usually where all the funkiness comes from. So
right.
Yep.
Right.
No, it's great.
There's not going to be any abrasion on the surface of the picture from sliding around in the box or the edges and corners getting
or break the box from the inside because it's going like this jam.
And there's no need for corner protectors, right? Because everything's protected.
So
you can see I have previously had things break inside its own box by shifting.
Yep.
Yikes.
Not fun when it gets there, it's really
these will arrive ready to go, right? We can work on these right away.
To be
You'll
honest,
just have to take off the glassine paper.
These boxes have really opened up a sort of like thing in my mind because when I was doing my residency in Trinidad, I did have people say, oh, I'm interested in this painting or that painting. And then when I got home and I looked into shipping, it was just so costly. And because getting it to certain countries can be kind of challenging, right? I was like, I can't charge my client equal amount as the painting to ship. And then even then not be confident that the item will arrive intact. Whereas this one, it may take a while to get there, but I'm pretty darn sure it's going to arrive intact.
Yeah.
So I might rethink, going back and revisiting those inquiries.
Yeah, for sure.
Further your career. Yes,
to get back to the new panels and the challenges of working on that. I know, Rose, you also said that you had some issues that you ran into with the larger piece. Can you tell us about that?
I was kind of like, on a similar wavelength as Stephanie. I was kind of like, it's different now since we did the test panels to realize, yes, this is the bottom layer. Like, so I'm kind of feeling into it differently, and I'm having my instincts kind of like go, maybe I shouldn't do what I would have because my process is very much dependent on improv on the prompt that I get from the botanical print. So it's how the dye, and in this case the sunshine and the panel, the wood, all interact with the leaves, and then I remove the leaves, and I just take what I get, right? I didn't really, I controlled some of it, but a lot of it is it's like the I Ching effect. A lot of it is outside of my control through my process. Then I look at it and I let it speak to me and tell me what it needs. So in this case, I'm kind of like, okay, the painting materially, the medium needed something to be able to go on to you guys and be protected and allow other media to go on top. So I did that, and it changed it. And I was like, oh, I've never done that before. It changed in a way I'm not accustomed to. So this is where we're on the edge of experimenting all the time, not just with the concept, but with the material. So I'm kind of left in this state where, okay, if it were my piece alone, I would now go in with a different material and kind of pull out and reduce certain areas. But I'm going to step back and I'm going to put it in the box. Instead, as much as it's calling me to go, just do this, I'm like, no, I'm going to leave it to my colleagues to be the ones to respond to what the painting is asking to be done, because that's what we all kind of like realized. Oh, it's kind of like more of a reflective response to the painting that we're doing in our interventions. So this painting is definitely calling out for like, oh, I need something.
You know what, Rose? I got chills. I got goosebumps when you said, it's an experiment. It's experimentation, because you're right. Like, that totally struck me, right? It hit home. I'm just like, yeah, that was. I've never done, wall art with spray paint, but I would love to, because that would feel so good, I think. But you're right. Like, just it's scary. You're kind of stepping into the unknown a little bit. Right. But it's also really cool, because that's how we grow.
Yeah, that is literally why I said I wanted to be part of this project, because I wanted to push past my box edges in my process, in how I'm seeing how this all works, how it works with me in the world, how I put it out there, and I'm pushing. I mean, I was really scared to do video. I didn't want to go on camera. I really didn't. I mean, I tried to take Alexis's advice and do that. I got the smart mic and everything, and I was like, I hate everything I did. I hate it. On the drive, or got lost on my hard drive, and I didn't care, because it was really a big thing for me. But now, 42 lives in, I'm starting to feel like I'm pushing past those boundaries inside myself. But definitely with this painting, I pushed some materials boundaries that I sure hope you guys don't end up having problems with. You might put something and the whole thing's going to melt. I don't know, but I did.
We'll cross our fingers.
And then if that's what happens, then that's what happens, right? Then it's just like a mush of color that you got to work with, whatever.
And we'll figure it out.
But that might help them with mine too.
You know, but at the end of it, from our test pieces, I'm confident that the painting itself, not my attachment to it, but the visual image itself, the piece itself, will have its own integrity. I'm confident now, after our test pieces, the piece will have its own integrity when it's done.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Even though I don't feel that it's at that stage when I'm sending it out.
That's how I feel
but I
as
think
well.
we're also more comfortable sending out a piece that is not, doesn't feel quite ready, because we know we can trust each other well enough that we will catch it, and it will be okay. It is okay to be out on its own and not quite able to walk yet.
Absolutely. And you said trust, and again, I got goosebumps. I don't know, it's a little cold in here, but not really. But when you said trust, that is like one of the main tenets of our collaboration, right? I mean, we trust each other so much. I trust that Ross is going to do something frigging cool with this painting, and it's going to bring it from here, or like that's what I'm feeling about it right now, to like here. I just know, and then so on and so on, right? It's just going to sort of grow exponentially. It's going to improve exponentially, and it's all, and I know that because I just, from having worked with you guys for 42 episodes, 42 weeks, more than 42 weeks, I know there's that trust, right? We all have each other's back. I know that I'm going to leave it to you guys and to the universe to make something beautiful of this, and I know it'll happen.
I'm really excited to see where it's going.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Trusting the process.
When Cheryl gets back, she'll be able to open, because my box should have arrived in Australia by now.
Oh boy!
So
we'll have it open next time, and an unveiling.
I hope so.
Wow, cool!
I hope so.
And so, Ross, what is the material that you used again on the 18 by 24?
Well, so I started. I had to prepare part of my concept is that part of these are wood panels, folks. That it would go from the wood, and the theme is layers of discovery. That it would be like wood that would go into the gesso. So it was like a split font kind of thing. And did you do the same thing, Denise?
I have something similar where you can still see a little bit of the wood grain with, and then sort of transfer.
Mine too.
Okay. Now I'm gonna change it, but
no.
I'm kidding. But so because I don't usually work in paint, I work in like I draw for the most part. So and the pastels were not working, and if I use oil pastel, that no one can use acrylic on it, so that's out. So I was using color pencil, which were essentially watercolor, which also doesn't work. So Rose had given me the tip to find this other kind of, there are two kinds of gesso grounds that will take dry or wet media, absorbent gesso or pastel gesso. So anyways, I found a new Derwent pencil called Ink Tense. So it holds up like ink.
I love them.
They're really amazing. They are amazing. But they have their own set of challenges that's really unlike anything else I've ever worked with. It has all the hardship of ink. Like you put it down, you can't do another thing with it then. I mean, that's just how ink is. And it has the I don't know what you'd call that, the fugitive quality of acrylic. Like with acrylic, you'll put it down and it goes down dark and dries lighter. But with these pencils, it will go down dark and get darker. I mean, it's like, it's not what you think it's going to be when you put the water on it. So
you said, sorry, the kind of pen or marker was ink. What? Sorry.
Ink Tense, the pencils. Ink
Tense.
Tense, Tense. So they hold up like ink, and they come in a pretty good variety of colors. Not as terrific as their other range of watercolor pencils, but pretty good. And yeah, and then it's like with my other experiments too, is like I'm coating them with fixative, that didn't work, and I'm coating them with acrylic crystal clear, and it's like, well, it disturbs what I just did. So it's like, no. So this is what's working best, but it's like really like, oh, I'm not a master of this material yet.
But you're pushing your own boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's different for me than it was in our test panels. In our test panels, it was like what you were saying. It's like I just wanted to like break out of whatever it was I was doing. It's like I've never worked with other people, at least not in an fine art kind of sense. In a graphic design sense, that's collaborative. So I said, well, I'll just like go with something I've never done, like a black ground and this thing and that thing. And then it was how I handled that and brushed things on. And in this case, it's like, oh, but I know what you guys are capable of, and I know what and I want it to be really beautiful. And so I've got this other kind of like thing going on, and it's like, and then also I have my own, both perfectionism and, taste level, right? Like, it's like, what's acceptable to me is it's gotta, like, why is Denise painting over those pieces? It's because it's not meeting her essential need of what looks right, and why, Stephanie, why you divided things up. So this is all part of our process, and this is what we have to deal with, to try and figure it out, and to trust each other and trust the process itself, and to master the materials. So for me now, this is 5 minutes. Denise, how long have you been working in your range of materials? Skin transfers and
skin transfers. I guess since 2010, maybe 2009. Before that, I did regular like collage type work, but I always ran into issues with the ink fading and paper turning yellow and stuff not adhering well and stuff like that. So that's why I transitioned into doing the image transfer. So I've been doing that for quite a while, but I also did something sort of different with this piece where I introduced a lot more of the washi paper and actually layered the washi paper on the panel in a way that I had not done before, which I ran into so many drying issues because when you apply you basically glue washi paper with a rice paste, and it's sort of completely absorbed by the paper, and it takes such a long time to dry. It takes forever.
Could you speed up the process with a hairdryer? No, you can't.
No, I tried, but and then it gets so delicate that the paper almost completely falls apart if you touch it. So I get super like antsy to move on and to sort of finish this thing. So I had a lot of issues like being patient and waiting, and it took me much longer to get to where I wanted to go with my layer than I had anticipated. And now I'm super worried because I know that if I sealed it, but I cannot seal it with any sort of acrylic materials because that would change how the paper looks. So I sealed it with natural materials, which means that if a lot of water is introduced now, it will rehydrate, which means that it will potentially break up again. And if it's then touched, then it will be damaged. So it's very scary for me to let it go. I wrote a whole thing about that in the passport, like please be careful. But I trust you guys, and I'm sure it's going to be fine.
So it's almost like, Rose, you're saying that you have a lot of these same types of considerations, how the material itself is going to receive what the next artist is going to put on there.
Oh, you're on mute, Rose.
Oh, you're muted.
Because it's about chemistry. And in fact, when I did my early art training back in the dinosaur days, before we all had our computers and everything, it was really a major part of the educational syllabus for fine arts was understanding our chemistry. We, back in those days, we ground our own pigments, we mixed. We went down to Daniel Smith in Seattle and had tours and saw how they made everything and really understood what layer we were putting on top of what layer and how the chemistry would work. And I'm very grateful for that because I've used it forevermore in my career because I'm a mixed media artist. Even when I've used oils and I presented it as an oil painting, I had started like the traditionals with charcoal and watercolor and sanguine and Conte, and I'd done all that already, like back in the day. But if you don't do it in the right order, your painting won't have chemical integrity.
There's no cohesion.
It will fall apart.
It will fall apart either from sunshine or movement or heat or cold or whatever. Your unsuspecting viewers has no idea, right? Like people look at those old crackles, right? But the artist didn't intend those crackles.
No, they didn't seal them properly. Yeah.
Well, you know, the most famous example is Leonardo painting The Last Supper. He tried his new technique. He invented this new technique for a fresco, and it didn't work. So not only were the brotherhood who received the piece super unhappy with his content, it fell apart. Even Leonardo.
Yeah, because with the materials for artists, materials is not just what we work with; it's our inspiration. It's where it grows out of. Like, I mean, the pigments that I work with, that's what inspires. That's what directs the flow of where the image goes. For me, it's actually the material. I mean, I'm making it from my brother's walnuts, you know, like they have like this, I don't know, this.
Don't go there. Okay. I don't know how close you are with your brother, and it's fine. It's fine. No judgment. Okay.
He has a walnut tree. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Oh yeah, we're live.
All right, move on.
At least it wasn't a walnut bush. So.
Okay, one of you guys is gonna have to deal with my walnut dye.
Is it water soluble? Is that part of it?
Yes, it's water soluble.
Oh my gosh.
I'm the same as Denise. I have to find a way to protect it without destroying it. So when I protected it, it went all mushy, and then I had to go back in. And I was like,
yeah. Oh.
Same considerations when you're mixing media and you have water soluble elements like your Derwent inks. You have water soluble elements. So then the next layer has to take that into consideration. That's why we're all being so considerate, taking our time when we receive them, because it's not just conceptual. There are material considerations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think that somehow, because these are larger, that we're having, I think, Denise, you kind of pointed in that direction, that we're having a different value scale that we're applying to these pieces as opposed to the other ones were like small and studies?
Probably that, but also I think just the fact that they're larger means that every time you touch them, any of them, your influence is going to be much greater because it's a larger surface.
Yeah.
So where before, if we look back at that beetle painting that Laura touched, she was the last one to touch it. We talked about it 2 or 3 weeks ago, and she just barely touched it. She just added a couple of dots of gold here and there, and I think that is mostly because this is such a small, tiny piece. where 7 artists have worked on it, and there's just not a whole lot of space left for her to work in.
Yeah.
But I feel with the larger panels, there's just going to be so much more space. And every time you do something, it's going to have a much bigger impact on how the piece is going to look.
Yeah. Yeah. And the formal considerations of composition value and everything become larger. Like in the small pieces, we were very limited in terms of composition. And I mean, there wasn't a lot of, the bigger you go, more of those considerations have to be applied to the piece.
Absolutely. I think it was so good. Like, hats off to Denise, because Denise, you suggested the pilot project, the 5x7 panels.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. You did. And that was a great, you did. Yeah. And that was a great, great suggestion, because we learned so much from it, right?
Yeah, we really did. Plus, we ended up with some really sweet little paintings.
Oh, we did. Yeah.
They're really awesome. For some of them, I wish they were larger. I really do.
I know. Me too. Me too.
Okay, we can always make posters.
Yeah, blow them up.
That's true.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It's 4:11. I don't know. I don't know.
We should probably sign out.
Yeah. You probably should.
Well, thank you for being here, you guys. It's so great to see everybody, and this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was
really good.
To be continued.
To be continued. Yeah, we've got other members to hear from, and
we're going to start receiving the big ones. So
we'll get more in depth into this whole inspiration and challenges and this whole discussion. I think it will not end here for sure.
Yeah, no, this is a great discussion. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. And everybody out there, thank you for joining us. Come back again next week in your local time zone, which would be...
Yeah, if you have questions for us, please post them in the comments, because we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.